All right, I think we can get started here. Welcome everyone to another iteration of the ITE Wisconsin Safety Council meeting. We got another great topic here. I'm just going to kind of walk through some of the housekeeping stuff as a reminder, and then I'll pass it on to Christian to introduce our speaker. This meeting is going to get recorded, so we will ultimately be putting it on our website on YouTube. We can send a link to that when I email out some of the information. The other thing is make sure you try to do your best and communicate our council to those that might be interested. We're maintaining a distribution list, so even if you're interested in a topic or not, we'll be emailing it out to everybody. The flyer is also added to the ITE Wisconsin Safety Council website. As far as the PDH or participation information, I will we'll take a roster at the end for anybody attending this live, and I will email that out with attached the flyer, so you can count that towards your PDH hours and things like that. I guess the next, we're still trying to meet roughly 3 times a year. So our next meeting is going to be kind of in that February-March timeframe to avoid conflicts with our other ITE events, like the traffic engineering workshop. So look forward to that. If you guys have any topics or anything, please feel free to suggest them to either myself or Christian. You can do it in the chat or just on your own time. So feel free. And with that, that's all I have. So Christian, you want to introduce the speaker?
Yeah, all right, thanks, Dan. Yeah, today we have Dr. Jun Liu from the University of Alabama. Just his presentations on safeguarding first responders in the era of evolving transportation systems. So Dr. Liu is an assistant professor of civil engineering and the director of Next Gen Transportation Lab at the University of Alabama. His research interests include shared mobility and planning, road safety and responder safety, ITS CAVs, and sustainable transportation. He has over 200 publications, including books and chapters, journal articles, conference papers, and technical reports. Since 2018, he's made significant contributions to securing $12 million in funding. He has been awarded a total of 19 projects, with 14 of them as principal investigator and 5 as co-PI. Funding and sources include prestigious organizations such as National Science Foundation, US DOT, AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety, state DOTs, and other local agencies. He's a member of the TRB Committee on Transportation Safety Management. He's also served on panels for NSF and NCHRP programs, and he currently serves as Assistant Associate Editor for the Journal of Intelligent Transportation Systems, a Handling Editor for Transportation Research Record, and an editorial board member for Accident Analysis and Prevention and the Journal of Safety Research. He also serves as a paper review coordinator for TRB Committee on Artificial Intelligence and Advanced Computing. So with that, we're really happy to have you, Dr. Liu. So I will hand the screen over to, if you want to take control of the screen and go ahead.
All right, thank you, Christine. Let me find, okay, share screen. All right, screen share. Are you able to see my screen?
Yep. We see.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me in this meeting, and I'm really happy and excited to share what we have regarding the research related to responder safety. And this is one of the presentations I gave to several agencies, and I mean, because this, I personally feel like this is a really unique topic, and it's been very important, and a lot of agencies and also people are talking about it, but we feel like there's just not much serious or structural research about it. So that's why our team has been this past 3-4 years, we have been focusing on this type of research, and currently we now have some findings to be shared with the audience from the with the community. All right, and okay. First of all, and I just have some numbers on this slide, and you may quickly now starting guessing what numbers represent. And the first 19 million, that's road assistance calls in the United States. Those are all those approximate numbers, not the exact numbers. And the 20 million, that's vehicles have been towed in the US every year, and the 6 million, that's crashes, and 3 million are people are injured in this country. I mean, in traffic crashes, and 40 million, over 40 million people were killed in 2021, and 2022, the number is slightly smaller, but it's still over 40. And pre-COVID, I mean, we have a number that is around 35,000. And why I'm showing all those numbers are basically giving you a sense about the load of the jobs of a special group of people who are first responders, because all those incidents and events that requires their participation and their involvement, and they are just very important, and they may be considered as, I mean, I think they should be considered as heroes on the road, and they are there to help people, rescue people, and to take care of everything that is and that is not normal and people in trouble. So, but however, they are facing a lot of dangers, and I mean, you may or may not know that even though I'll say compared with the general public fatalities, that's a really small number of fatalities there. But you look at their profession and also how many people are in this profession, that is really a higher rate, And this slide just shows numbers collected by the respondersafety.com. This is an agency called Emergency Responder Safety Institute, and they have been collecting those incidents involving the responders, and they just have this table showing the number of the first responders being killed, basically just by the passing vehicles passing a traffic incident scene. And I mean, there are laws protect first responders in the United States, and there may be other, others, policies or different states. And we did a study trying reviewing the move over laws different states across this country, and we found some variations there. And then one of the most important variations is like it's for different groups or different agencies with different types of first responders, like tow truck operators and DOT vehicles. I mean, they may not be considered as first responders in some of the states. This may have been changed because this was like some information valid as of July 2021. But this shows that, I mean, basically, I mean, to us, I mean, for us, I mean, it's like oh, they're a special group of first responders. They are receiving not the equal level of protections. So tow truck operators, and we did some research about it. I mean, not just their research, just looking through the website and looking at the numbers, and we found that the towing industry has the highest fatality rate among all the private industry in the United States. That's like 44 deaths per 100,000 workers, and the fatality rate is in the tow industry is 15 times more than the national average of this. I mean, so that's death rates. So this, I mean, here's a video showing that their working environment, and I'm not sure. I know. I have experience of talking to various different tow truck operators. I know some of them they really enjoy their job, and some of them just still feel like it's really not so it's very exciting, but it just there's just some sense they can't avoid. And there was I visited one tow shop, and there was a guy and who told me that like in 6 years he lost 3 friends who are in the tow industry, and that was just very shocking to me. Anyway, so anyway, we know that this is a really dangerous, high risk profession, and so what we are doing in our team, this is not finished yet. I'm just showing you some of the really quick progress there. So this is one of the ongoing efforts we are doing about the safety of tow truck operators, and we are working with local tow agencies and working with their workers, and having them wear our devices. Instead of in addition to simply observing what they are doing on the roadside, we also want to know what they are looking at, where they're looking at, and also what they are thinking when they are on the roadside. So we have those devices put on their head, and also like glasses, and also those wristband to detect their heart rates. We just want to know their neuropsychological status when they are working very busy on the roadside. And so this is just a video showing their eye tracking, and trying to understand what they're looking at and where they're looking at when they are on the side of the road. And I mean, if you have any experience with towing, and you know that they can't, they know it's very dangerous on the road side, but they have to focus on their job. I mean, they can't just keep their eye on traffic. And so that would lead some issues that if some other drivers are distracted and they're not noticing the activities on the road side, so that would put those tow truck drivers in danger. And so that is just as expected. So we are trying to understand it, and we're trying to, through our research, we are to say, can we improve some of the protocols and to reduce the time, not focusing on the traffic. And actually, after this data collection, we asked this participant about like how many trucks do you observe, do you saw, or do you still remember passing by? And the number is much lower than we counted. We actually counted through our videos. So that's basically telling them the awareness of the dangers, and not all vehicles would slow down or change lanes. That is just another aspect. I mean, it's about the law enforcement, and which can really complicate the issue we're talking about here. And so this is another ongoing effort about the safety of officers when they are conducting the traffic stops. And I really don't have much to share. It's basically just the data analysis based on the survey, and I just skip this here. And so this is an incident this year in May in Georgia, and this vehicle just go flying. uh, uh, and you, I mean, well, I mean, what I want to say is like there are protocols for those first responders to comply with, to do when they are on the road side, to take care of those incidents. But however, they are human beings, and we all have some limitations, and there are also situations that they could not follow the protocols. And this is just one of the cases. And clearly, you can see that tow truck should not be on the other side of the road, because the majority of the activities on the other side of the road, and so they I think that driver was basically just looking at, but distracted by the other side of the road, not noticing there is a tow truck on his side. So that is, I mean, what we are trying to do is trying to improve the protocols to understand. I mean, under what circumstances some protocols would be limited, and even given that, we still improve it, or to make some recommendations for those first responders to make sure their safety is being ensured. All right. Okay, from now on, I'm going to give you some research that has been finished, and this is a project funded by the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety, and we finished this in I think last year or the year before last year, 2021. And this research is trying to identify or evaluate the effectiveness of the a countermeasure, which specifically the active variable message board mounted on the emergency vehicle. How can we want to say whether this message board can protect the roadside responders. And so this is how it looks like. We worked with the Alabama Department of Transportation's Safe System Patrol, and worked with their safety patrol people personnel. And this is also there the board. You can see that is the message board on the vehicle, on the cab of the vehicle. And we collect the data in our area, because that's the service area for those vehicles, and that's 25 miles long one direction, and this is a very standard freeway, rural area, 70 miles per hour, and the daily volume is 40,000 to 6,000, and the truck percentage is 30%. And so this is the message board, what we are looking at. And we are, at this point, we are only looking at whether they are using this message board or not using this message board. And actually, you know that for those message board, there are different message signs to display. That requires some design experiments, and we didn't do it in this project. And currently, we just looked at the whether using the board can encourage more people to slow down or move over to change lanes. So this is like the scope of this research. And so we collected the videos, the what's an onboard videos in the vehicles, and the rear view and the front view. And I'm unable to I cannot share videos in this presentation because of the data sharing agreement. Basically, you can basically guess it. That is like just any videos, camera onboard videos you can have. From the videos, we can tell whether an VMS is used. And well, I can tell you that because we didn't install the cameras were just there in that vehicle as part of that vehicle, and we just use them to download actually do the monitoring recording to get the video data. So there is no any control of the data collection. It's like I would consider it's like a naturalistic data collection process. So this is how we identify whether a VMS board was used, and because we couldn't really ask the operator to tell us when, and that was just so much for them to do. So with the videos, we did some data extraction and using some YOLO deep learning algorithms to detect the vehicles and track the vehicles in the videos and to get their trajectories. And with the trajectory, okay, this is showing like how many trajectories we have generated. We have this many frames of videos and many data points and over 10,000 unique detected vehicles. That means number of trajectories we were able to detect. We were able to detect with those trajectories. We are able to identify which lane those vehicles were. Those are the passing vehicles, passing the service petrol vehicle, and lane position and also lane changing behaviors we were able to identify. And also even the speed approaching the safety patrol vehicle, and this shows the distribution of the speed. And we did some modeling. I mean, this lecture, in this presentation, I don't mean to give really a lot of technical details, but I just want to show you the key findings. And well, the key findings like when the VMS was used and the drivers were more inclined to change lanes and reduce their speed. So basically, this is showing it's effective in encouraging people to comply with the mover laws when encounter the safety patrol vehicles, even though this is not police vehicle. So I mean, we calculate some odds. That's 95% higher changing lanes. That's really showing very effective. So this findings just suggests that using the vehicle-mounted VMS can have a positive effect on traffic. Well, that's just we looked at both the passenger vehicles and also the trucks, and we didn't see much effect on the trucks. Probably because the trucks, you think about it, they are just larger and heavier, and they are unable to slowing down or changing lanes within a very short distance. Uh, so that's a kind of limitation. Well, however, still, I didn't show that slide because we compared with the situations with or without the safety patrol vehicle on the roadside, and with the safety patrol vehicles on the roadside, we observed that there is significantly less percentage of the vehicles or trucks using the outer lane, the lanes next to the safety patrol vehicle next to the shooter. So that is also, but that is not being observed with the videos. So we are just discussing that in our report. Okay, moving forward. Moving forward, now we are really going to talk about how the advanced or emerging vehicle technologies are going to have an impact on the work of the first responders. So, I mean, this is like, or maybe my personal viewpoint is about the next generation of the transit system will be electrified and also automated. And you may have learned that there's a federal goal about by 2030, 50% of the vehicles expected to be personal vehicles expected to be the electric vehicles. And regarding the automation, well, currently I'm not really clear about there's a roadmap about the automation of those automation technologies, but there is just so much research about projecting the deployment of the automated technologies. Well, that will take a long time. I mean, I'm thinking that will just really take 30, 50 years. But during the period of the transition, what we can do, and we should, as researchers, I say we should anticipate some of the problems we are going to have with the massive adoption of the introduction of the electric vehicles and automated vehicles or autonomous vehicles in the future or in the near future. And we don't hope to avoid some of situations where like technology adoption for other technologies, like at beginning everybody is very excited about it, but later, okay, issues we didn't realize, and then that caused some kind of problems of the adoption. For the AVs and EVs, we hope we can anticipate most of those problems before we get into those problems in the future. And now this, can well, let's just trying to put you in the context and think about previously the numbers I showed you, number of the what's that road assessment cores, the vehicles being towed, and also the collisions, the crashes, the injured crashes, and the fatal crashes. You can think about that. If 50% of those vehicles be electric vehicles, and how many fires we are going to see in the future. At this point, we don't see many EV files, but because we still don't have a really small, tiny portion of the vehicles being fully electric vehicles. So the chance of getting an EV incident is still very small at this point. But in the just 2030, 50% of vehicles being EVs. And think about the collisions. Even though we'll say people would say, well, EVs are relatively safe and they are not easy to catch fire. But if you think about those fatal crashes and injury crashes, that's collisions involved. And even that situation, think about the chance of having fire. That's just I mean, I don't know. I'm not a battery expert, but what I know right now for those EVs, their batteries, those fires can burn really hotter and longer. And currently, there seems to be no way to put them out. And where there may be a lead about improving the battery technologies. So regarding the autonomous vehicle technologies, and we do hope the autonomous vehicles can be safe and safer than humans, but are they 100% safe? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And we know those AVs, their driving algorithms are trained based on some kind of data. I mean, they can tell it's just tons of the driving scenarios or environments they used to train their driving algorithms, driving behaviors of the self-driving vehicles. But however, with those responders on the roadside, do you think those scenarios are included? And because those are not normal driving scenarios, driving conditions, and because their presence can be a surprise to both drivers and also the self-driving vehicles. And another thing is about the first responder humans. Even though maybe there are standardized protocols, standardized equipment that should use to notify the autonomous vehicles, but still they are humans. Under some circumstances, they may unable to follow the protocols. So in that case, can EVs still identify them? And this just making it more extreme. With those objects or vehicles on the road, can AVs identify them as a vehicle? But you can think right now, I mean, if this is the first time for you to see those pictures, I mean, think about how many seconds you took you to understand it as a human. But for the AVs, if they could not understand it, I'll say they could never understand it. If that is because if the algorithm is not trained in this way. And so that's like raise some issues about with responders on the roadside on the road, and they can be really hard for the AVs to detect. All right. So with that, we kind of ask some questions. How much do first responders know about managing the incidents involving EVs and AVs? And also challenges have they experienced or challenges they perceive? And what's the most significant risks like EV incidents, also AVs passing by, and we want to get to know their perceptions. So we did a survey, national survey, working with the Emergency Responder Safety Institute, and we collected responses from over 1,000 responses from all states in Washington D.C. And this is the survey questions we asked. And there's not really a lot of questions. We have questions about the demographic information, the working environment, training background, and we ask their training related to EVs or training related to AVs or connected automotive vehicles or like that. And we ask them out their experience, their knowledge about it. And this is showing how many samples we received from each state. And we have so many from the eastern states, not many from the western coast states, because we roll out the survey in the morning. And I mean, if you know a little bit about the survey and you know just people would respond to your survey just the first time we say it. And if you don't respond it, or if the survey was shown, I mean, some time later, they've not responded. So this is showing the social demographics, and somehow we have the responders, covering responders for all the ages, and also a lot of agency types, the fire, the police, and also paramedics. And there's a lot of people choosing the multi-agency because in the question we asked them, if you have the background about more than one agency, just select this one. And for this one, it appears that a lot of police and also the firefighters, they are choosing this category. And of course, majority of respondents were of males, and this is just a very different profession. And now working experience and also the training background. Of course, 9% of them said they received team training somehow regularly, and why there's 10% that did not receive much training, because not all of them have to go out on the road, because some of them maybe just managers sitting in the office, they don't get those trainings because they don't need that first-hand experience. And now we asked about the EV related training, and 30% of them said no training was related to EVs. And for different agencies, this the training the training what's that? The training background is different. And in Nuxnack, actually, the towing agency has received a lot of training or about the EVs, and only 30% reported that they never received any training about EVs. And I have a friend who works in the from AAA actually, kind of road assistance or towing agency, and he told me that because there's like some kind of requirement or certification, they're required to get a training related to EV as to get a license to do some to business. So that's why a lot of the towers they have some kind of training about EVs. And well, later it's going to be interesting because basically those trainings is not just watching videos. It's somehow from our research because later we asked them about the specific the firefighting techniques and tactics, and they I mean towers they don't know much, they don't know any. So that's basically showing the effectiveness of the training, the quality of the training is a problem at this point. And this is showing the geographic differences of the EV-related training. And it looks like the Region 9, the FEMA Region 9, uh, because we don't have many samples for every state, so we just group them to FEMA regions. And Region 9, because it has California, and that's as expected. That's a lot of them, only the lowest percent of numbers not receiving any EV training. So that's because the California somehow has the maybe the most promotional incentives for EV adoption. Uh, Maybe that's different right now. And now we ask about the EV knowledge, and this is about the specific firefighting tactics. And and we asked about the thermal imaging camera, the copious amounts of water, battery box appearance and dunking. And well, there is 30% of them, 20% of them, they don't know any of them. And they more than half of the participants from the law enforcement, they didn't know any of them. Well, yeah, you may say that, well, this firefighting is not the job of the police and also not a job for the tow truck operators, but this is the context of the EV fires. And also because for the police and also towers, especially for the police, they may be the real first responders. They would be they would be the persons people who arrive the scene the first time. So if they know a little bit, then can help. But if so somehow we feel like that's useful for them to know some tactics. They don't have to really fight fires, but they still it's good for them to know at least some of the risks. And for the towing, they also the next agency has had the least knowledge about fire tactics. So this is showing even though only 30% of the towers they say they did not receive any, but a lot of them say they don't know any tactics. That's just a problem about the existing training. And this is just showing the challenges and risks perceived by the responders. And for the challenges, identify an EV. I mean, well, this is just a problem when there's a fire. They may not be able to see the band very clearly, so they are unable to identify whether that's an EV. Because this is very important, because they have to understand it's a EV, so there's a chance that is a EV, that is battery fire. And also for the EV fire, that is also can be the battery fire or can be just the other like plastic or other fire or just a combined fire. That's just too much for me to know, and I'm not a fire expert there. And strain energy, that is another issue, is being kind of noticed by the first responders. That's basically telling that when they when the fire is put out and the batteries can reignite anytime, and you never know whether it's not going to. I mean, the battery will just there will be no fire anymore. And we asked them to provide some recommendations to improve their practices, of course, training, and then followed by the standard EV designs. And also public education, because they were talking about that the people would become really curious if they see a fire on the road, and that will make their job harder, more difficult, more difficult. And we ask them to leave some comments. This is open-ended question. And so training, a lot of them talking about the training, and a lot of talking about the manufacturers. They need to have some updates, and they need to provide a lot of information, also provide support and 24/7 technical availability like Tesla. And the standardization. A lot of really comments about standardization. They hope there's a standard design about the EVs, at least for the safety aspect. But however, I'm not sure because those companies, they are competitors, and can they come together to have agreement about some of the design of the vehicles. And another one is about equipment technologies. They hope there is a new technology that can be developed to help them to put out the EV fires. And public education, other concerns: do not make it fire engine EVs. EVs are dangerous. EVs are worst creation made, and never assume that there is an energy stored in the disabled vehicle. That is strained energy. After the EV set of questions, now I'm getting into the AV related questions. All right. So first of all, about training, really not many. Only a small portion of the people say they have some training related to the AV or related to connected vehicles or advanced driver assistance systems. So we combine them together here. And a lot of them actually only noticed or are aware of those training information or materials from the Emergency Responder Safety Institute. I mean, if you are interested, they have a research responder safety learning network. If you can go to the website to look at it, they have a lot of materials, really good materials there. But that seems to be the major sources where people can get to know about the risks those CV AVs can pose to the first responder community. And also at this point, because this is like evolving technology and still developing some new algorithms or new sensors, and we even don't know what to talk about right now at this point. So we still need to learn what really risks can be brought by this adoption of the CEV technologies. And there was some kind of set of interesting questions that sort of ask about. We are talking about. I mean, we want to know those first responders, their opinions about the human drivers compared. Also, actually, their opinions about the AVs compared to human drivers passing them when they are working on the site. And first, we ask do they trust the human drivers who pass by? And only really small portion, less than 1% of them say okay, they would totally trust human drivers, and 43% say they do not trust human drivers anymore at all, at all. So that is actually a problem, and I mean, we ask the reasons why they do not trust it. They just say, well, driver distraction is a problem. That's the reason threatening them and killing them on the roadside. And also there are another inattentive driving somehow related to driver distraction, and then drunk driving, DUI. And now we ask about okay, do you trust the AVs who pass by? And 1% and slightly more, but still over 40% say they do not trust AVs anymore. So basically, this group of people, they do not trust any vehicles passing by. There is strong correlation between the trust in human drivers and the trust in self-driving vehicles. And now this is like this is basically showing the breakdown of the agencies by agencies to look at which agency would trust the humans more, which agency would trust the AVs more. And looks like the law enforcement, the police would trust the AVs more, but still a smaller percentage, a small percentage. But well, the reason we think is just because the officers, police, they have to deal with the drivers, the humans directly, because for the firefighters and for the towing industry, towing towers, they don't have to deal with the drivers directly. They only need to focus on the issues, the fires or the wrecked vehicles. So, but for the police, they really hope that the drivers would play a smaller role in the future in the driving. So then how that somehow can reduce their their job difficulty. And this is showing across the country, different regions, and some regions have a higher trust in AVs, and some regions have a lower trust in AVs, and it's just kind of not surprising. The West Coast areas they have a higher trust in AVs. Maybe those first responders they are more exposed to the AV technologies. And then addition, just perception, recommendations towards AV adoptions, and they just think about AVs unpredictable, and they just don't have experience about dealing with AVs and not trained. And recommendations again, training is also recommended, and also some kind of a standard behavior response that can standardizing the protocols. So that needs to be developed. And there are just additional comments. And this again, computers cannot recognize incidents like people. So that's just they are concerned about those vehicles cannot understand and cannot recognize them when they are on the site. And also, automatic vehicles are worse than EVs and do not trust them, and they can be hacked. And additional training is in awareness and handling those new vehicles should be mandatory. So that is what they suggest to do. And I'm going to skip some of the modeling part and to understand the correlates of the EV training, also the trust in the autonomous vehicles. So takeaways. All right, takeaways. Over 40% responders say no training related to EVs. Over 80% say no training related to AVs. Only 3% believe AVs are more trustable than human drivers, and 86% say no. And EMS have the highest odds of not receiving EV safety training, and followed by the law enforcement, DOT, and public works. And police is associated with the most significant odds of trusting AVs more than human drivers. And 6% believe that identifying and disabling vehicle is a challenge. And over 40% participants say that strained energy and immobility EV can be challenging. And training on EV, AV emergency response, and standardization of EV designs, standard protocols, and design of the crash warning systems that are recommended for them to make sure they, to improve their safety. And that's the papers we have published based on what I just presented. And this is just another paper also I presented about this is AAA project. And now I'd like to acknowledge the support we received from Nation Science Foundation and also AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety. And this is just a photo showing our team, and we were in the TRB meeting actually this January, not this coming January, this January, and there was a session, poster session. I mean, all papers in the session were our papers about responder roadside safety, because there's supposed to be no other team working on this topic, and they couldn't find a session that can have our papers, so they just created a session for our topic, for our papers. And this is just showing, just introducing my lab. What we do planning and safety. And today I talk about the responder safety, and we also do a lot of safety research about just the motorists, the pedestrian, cyclists. And somehow now I'm just saying that's traditional safety research. So I like to focus on the responder safety research. All right, thank you. And let me know if you have any questions.
Brian, I think you asked a couple questions in the chat. If you just want to unmute and ask them directly, that could work.
All right, let me check the chat. Where I can go to the chat. Where is the chat? Oh, chat. Okay. So does your data study take into account whether or not a crash incident occur in work zones or during winter conditions? You mean the first the VMS board study? Oh no, we don't have observations for the work zones, and we collected data only during a 1 month period. I believe that is like September, August. So we don't have the winter weather conditions. And but we do have the weather conditions about if it's raining or it's before raining, or it's also there is a sun flare, sun glare. We consider that or visibility in our models, and they definitely would kind of affect the effectiveness of the women's sport, and somehow that would be just to reduce the effectiveness. And also, did you see that the data study took into account the law enforcement personnel vehicles? That is only we only worked with the safety patrol vehicles personnel, so we don't have we didn't work with the police vehicles, police. So that's we can't tell anything about that. We just assume with the women's board on the police vehicle, it will have the similar impact. And actually, for the police, well, it's just there was a kind of there's like a problem or issue in Alabama. It's just uh, uh for non-police vehicles, they can use the blue lights or red lights. Also non-police non-fire. So, but we know somehow, I mean, a lot of research has been done that the blue lights and red lights are really effective notifying the drivers about the presence of the emergency vehicles. So that's why they are thinking about other ways to notify to increase the visibility of those emergency vehicles on the roadside. All right, any more questions?
All right, doesn't seem like anyone else has any questions, but thanks, Dr. Liu. That was a really good presentation and definitely a topic that isn't touched on as much. Like you said, they had to create a session for you. So yeah, thank you for presenting for our ITE Safety Council.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me.